This is a 2011 Honda Big Red 700, and I am pulling the engine to fix the classic sand in the oil issue. If you've ever taken this off-road or in the water, sand is likely to collect in the oil and plug up the oil screen and then limit the oil flow to the rest of the engine, specifically the transmission, and possibly get a little bit of sand and grit in the solenoids up here that control the shifting. So what I'm having a problem with is, as soon as it starts up, it'll go into gear one time and you can drive it, and as soon as you let off the gas, I guess it goes into neutral or coast or something, the oil just has a really hard time flowing. So from what I've read and what I've seen on YouTube, the pickup screen just gets clogged up in these, and that seems to be all the symptoms that I'm having as well. So I'm gonna get this thing on out and take a look and see if I've got sand inside of this. I bought this used, and hopefully I can get this thing going. And I'll just do a quick overview. I pulled the oil dipstick out, drained all the oil, and you got to disconnect both axles. So there's a little bit, this is quite a big job to get the engine out. The oil cooler, pull that out, get it out of the way. Just a couple pins there. I try to keep up with all the hardware and put it back in the holes when I can. Best way to get the axles off is move the rear diff back a couple inches. You can see I disconnected it, just moved it back just a little bit, and use a pry bar like that one, and you can get the rear off after you've loosened up the engine mounts. And I think it helps to take the engine mount bolts off, and you see I'm just using ratchet straps to the roll cage to pull it up. So I was able to pick it up a couple inches up out of the motor mount, and then use the pry bar, wiggle stuff around, and get the rear drive shaft to come loose, and then move the whole engine back and get the front drive shaft to come loose without having to move the front diff. You can move the front diff also, and that's not too big a deal. It's about the same amount of work as the rear, but it'll save you a little bit of time if you just get it on up out of the motor mounts and not have to mess with the front diff. There's just a few plugs to look out for, specifically these two. You'll unplug those by the fuel tank on the other side of the engine, and a few hoses. You'll disconnect your oil fill hose for that. And then there's a couple water lines in the front, mainly that one down there. You got to get that one off pretty much immediately so that you can move the engine up. And then that's pretty much it. You just got to, of course, take all your seat and stuff apart, but that's all pretty straightforward. I did also loosen up the air box and move it back a little bit just to help me get everything moving around freely. Real simple stuff. Just a little bit time consuming. Took me a couple hours just to get everything loose. Also make note of the shifter linkage. Shifter linkage goes on right there, and it's laying down there now, but I just prick punched on the end of it right there where the split is, so that I'll know exactly where that goes back on the splines. Take pictures as much as you can to reference things when you're pulling stuff apart. And that's pretty much it. I'll make another video once I get tearing into this thing. I think there's one other guy that's taking apart one. I think it's a tan color. He does a really good job and does all kinds of different four-wheelers and things, but this Honda 680 700 platform is very, very common to get sand in the engine. I'm not sure exactly how that's possible. Possibly through the exhaust and around the piston rings. I have no idea. If you ever sink one in the creek or something, I think that's how it happens. Don't know that that's happened on this machine, and I'm hoping I don't have any burned up clutches. But when it's in gear, it seemed to pull good. And then I changed the oil and changed the oil filter. Didn't see anything in that. However, what I can tell, the issue is right at the oil screen. The screen itself just gets clogged up at the very bottom of the oil pan. So I'm gonna take this thing apart. You gotta take it all the way apart. You gotta split this here, take apart the crankshaft and split it in the center, because that screen is just off to one side or the other. Can't remember right away, but it's on the bottom and you just got to get this engine completely apart to be able to get to it. So it's worth buying a whole new rebuild kit if you got a lot of hours on yours, or at least a whole new gasket set, and get you some good RTV and take a look at the oil seals. There's also O-rings around the pickup and things, but I'll show that in another video once I get it all the way apart. So just want to do a quick video on everything that I'm doing here on this machine in case I ever go to sell this or whatever. New buyer may want to know that this has been done. But I do plan to keep this and run it for a little while. Honda's supposed to be a good machine, and I believe this one will be once it's been cleaned out. So with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.